the synchronization state will tell you whether or not the primary is synchronized with the secondary. Okay, primary is synchronized with the secondary. And the way this works is that, think of it as a two-phase commit. Okay, two-phase commit meaning if I submit a transaction to the database, the primary replica will persist the data first on the primary database, but it's not the data in the way we understand it. It first has to generate corresponding transaction log records from that transaction, writes those transaction log records onto the LDF file of the primary database. That's the first phase, okay, of the two-phase commit. First phase is write the LDF file onto the, or write the transaction log records onto the LDF file of the primary database, sends it over the wire, over the network, to the secondary replica. The secondary replica will then write those log records onto its own LDF file. Once it's written those LDF files, or LDF records, I'm mixing things, transaction log records onto the secondary database's LDF file, the secondary replica will then send an acknowledgement message back to the primary replica saying, I'm good. So that's phase 2 of the two-phase commit. So synchronized only means that the log records have been written to disk on the corresponding LDF file of the secondary database. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't mean that those records have already been redone on the secondary database. Part of what the availability group is doing is running redo. It is replaying all committed transactions, in this case because the transaction has already been written to the LDF file of the secondary database. That is considered to be a committed transaction. Okay, part of the ACID property of the database. It's the consistency and durability property of relational databases. So the transaction log records corresponding to that transaction has already been written to the LDF file of the secondary database. That is considered to be a committed. I want to use the air quotes that you can see on camera. It's considered to be committed because anything that happens to the secondary database, it can retrieve those transaction log records, replay those committed transactions, and keep the data consistent.